Hello there, boys and girls. Today I'm going to talk about something that's very important in research but is often neglected too, and that is operationalization. But first, let me tell you about my newest product, the Dexcamitan Super Awesome Juice. And it is a thought stimulating, mind boggling, not to mention the best tasting smoothie ever produced in Southeast Asia. It's also believed to have therapeutic qualities and can cure most known diseases. How is it made? You just have to take the eye of a fire-bellied newt, the leg of an albino African frog, three oyster shells, and a pinch of unicorn droppings. Put them in a blender for 2 minutes. Serve with 2 cubes of ice in a beer mug. Now, walang totoong Dex Kamitan Super Awesome Smoothie. Okay? But what I did is to offer you two types of definition: conceptual definition and operational definition. And if you were paying attention kanina, conceptual definition was my first description. Ito yung best tasting smoothie in Southeast Asia. And it tells you what the concept means. Also, conceptual definitions conceptual definition tells what your constructs are by explaining how they are related to other constructs. As in our example, it is the best tasting smoothie in the rest or in the entire Southeast Asia. On the other hand, I offered an operational definition of the Dex Kamitan Super Awesome Smoothie, and I told you what the concepts or how to measure the concept by describing the variables we used as indicators for our constructs and the procedures I used to observe or measure the variable. And what are this? Ito yung mata ng fire-bellied newt, yung isang hita ng albino African frog, ito yung tatlong piraso ng oyster shell, and yung pinch ng unicorn droppings. Sinabi rin dito kung paano to ibuo or buuhin. Like in our example, ilagay mo silang lahat ng ingredients mo sa blender at patakbuhin mo yung blender for 2 minutes at iserve mo sa isang beer mug na may dalawang yellow. Okay, now, you might ask, bakit nga ba importante itong operational definition? It's because they bridge the gap between abstract concepts and yung concrete reality. Paano? You have to take a hypothetical construct. Sa psychology, napakaraming nating hypothetical constructs. Pag sinabi mong hypothetical constructs, it's a concept, idea, or faculty which can be understood but cannot be directly measured. For example, you have attention, you have intelligence, you have love, you have Freud's ego and superego. All these are hypothetical constructs. So what you have to do is to take a hypothetical construct and define it based on how it will be measured, observed, and manipulated within a particular study. For example, let's take attention. Okay? And attention is conceptually defined as the behavioral and cognitive process of selectively concentrating on a discrete aspect of information, whether considered subjective or objective, while ignoring other perceivable information. So while that is a good conceptual definition, it's rarely measurable. Okay? So in order to make this measurable, you have to create an operational definition or convert a hypothetical construct in terms of operation. So in our example, attention, so it can be operationally defined as the span of time a person can stay on a particular task. So in other words, an operational definition is a formula for building a construct in such a way that other scientists can duplicate it by specifying the operations used to produce and measure it through the process of operationalization, which is defining a fuzzy concept so as to make this theoretical concept clearly distinguishable or measurable and to understand it in terms of empirical observations. Okay, let's have another example. Suppose you have a researcher who is interested in curbing aggression in schools by exploring if aggression is a response to frustration. Okay? To answer the question, the researcher must first define aggression and frustration both conceptually and procedurally. In this example of frustration, the conceptual definition may be obstruction of goal-oriented behavior, but if you think about it, this definition is rarely specific enough for research. So, in this example, frustration can be defined or operationally defined in terms of the responses to the question, how frustrated are you at this moment? Now, the response option can be letter A, not at all, letter B, slightly, letter C, moderately, and letter D, very. So the researcher could then classify people as frustrated if they answered moderately or very on the scale. Moreover, the researcher must also operationalize aggression in this particular study. However, one challenge of developing an operational definition is turning abstract concepts into observable, measurable parts. For example, most people will agree that punching another person in the face with the goal of causing pain counts as an act of aggression. But people may differ on whether teasing counts as aggression. So the ambiguity about the exact meaning of a concept is what makes operationalization essential for precise communication of methodological procedures within a study. In this particular example, aggression could be operationally defined as the number of times a student physically hits another person with the intention to harm. Thus, having operationally defined the theoretical concepts, the relation between frustration and aggression can be investigated. As you can see, a good operational definition does not have to be entirely sensible. Okay, because you may argue that there are other ways to measure aggression. And this could be, in certain researches, the amount of spice given to another person. But it does not have to be sensible as long as it is clear and can be copied by other researchers. So, anong pros and cons ng operationalization? Number one, it ensures consistency in the interpretation and collection of data. This means that um, a particular study can be replicated and its reliability can be measured. Operationalization is therefore an essential component in the theoretically centered science because it provides the means of specifying exactly how a concept is being measured or produced in a particular study. A precise operational definition helps ensures us the consistency in interpretation and collection of data and thereby aids in replication and extension of the study. However, because most concepts can be operationally defined in many ways, take for example the concept of love. It can be operationalized in many ways depending on what theory are you basing it upon. There are theories that could there's a particular theory that says love is composed of three distinct domains. And another theory might say love is expressed by a number of love languages. So because most concepts can be operationally defined in many ways, competing operationalizations of the same term can provoke disagreement about which of these definitions is the best. Okay. Moreover, when the definitions become too specific, they are not always applicable or meaningful. Okay, when a particular operational definition is so narrowed down, it might only make sense in the context of the study, and it cannot be applied in the it cannot be generalized, or the results of the study may no longer be generalized to the greater population, and it might no longer be meaningful too. So, if you think about it, while operational definitions can be controversial definitions of the concepts in question, they facilitate scientific communication and hence the reliability of scientific research. In its strongest sense, operationalization can occur when we define variables so as to make them measurable. So while operationalizations can be controversial, we still need to use them in our researches. So that ends our lesson for today. See you again next week.